Are you aware of the time that Thor moved from God of Thunder to God of Fists? Well, you're about to be. I'm Avengers, this is Top 10 Nerd, and let's just jump into this, shall we? Coming from Jason Aaron and Aaron Cooter, Avengers Forever follows a ragtag team of Avengers that all come from separate different realities, coming together to directly oppose the multiversal Masters of Evil led by a Doctor Doom variant, which are a group of the greatest villains from various different universes. The team is made up of Robbie Reyes from Earth 616, Tony Stark Ant-Man from Earth 818, a Deathlock with a rather mysterious master known as the Prime Avenger, the strongest Black Panther ever that we've seen known as the Star Panther, and a small army of Steve Rogers alternates. It's also got a core of Carol Danvers, and eventually in issue number 8 of the comic we get the Thor from Earth 56337. Now, issue number 8 picks up in the Himalayas of Earth 56337 with this Earth's version of Thor hiking up to the summit of a mountain where he lays down in the snow and has just a little brief moment of peace, which was too quickly interrupted by a massive crack-a-coom. That's literally what it says on the page. Followed by massive storm clouds that fire out a bolt of lightning carrying the magical Uru hammer Mjolnir. Now this Thor and his hammer have a different relationship than what we are used to. The hammer refuses to allow this Thor to lift it and has been refusing the God of Thunder for a really long time. When the multiversal Masters of Evil destroyed his home Asgard, he was unworthy. When they moved on and put his Earth under their control, he was unworthy. He became a shell of what he once was, but everywhere he went, he was literally being followed by the hammer, constantly mocking him and constantly reminding him of his failure to save his friends and loved ones. Reminding him that he is not worthy to lift the hammer that is associated with him so closely in every single universe. And I'm not talking metaphorically. The hammer literally follows this unworthy Thor, floating beside him as he walks, and when he sleeps, hovering constantly just out of reach. And even when he went to the unsurvivable tippy top of a massive mountain, his hammer was following him, just mocking him the entire time. It's actually pretty sad. As Thor sat there feeling defeated and angry, staring at his mocking hammer, hating himself for not being able to wield the thing, he grew so fed up that he began to just punch. He started punching the hammer over and over again until his knuckles were red and he was huffing and puffing. But then, out of seemingly nowhere, he was joined on this inhospitable mountain by another person, Li Kung the Thunderer, who is the guardian of the ancient magical city of Kunlun, the place that holds the secrets to the power of the Iron Fist. The Thunderer comments on Thor's rage-filled punches, saying that it hurts the God of Thunder more than it actually hurts the mallet that he's punching. And the Thunderer opens a portal to Kunlun, only to find out that the multiversal Masters of Evil had also destroyed this mystical citadel in their conquering of the Earth. Even the Iron Fist himself fell to the Masters of Evil, leaving only the Thunderer, who took it upon himself to guard the city and the immortal dragon, Shao Lao, who created the power of the Iron Fist in the first place, and who now remains locked away, regenerating from his fight with the villains in the first place. Suggesting that the Iron Fist is without a vessel, the Thunderer asks Thor what he would do for revenge against the Masters of Evil, but when Thor admits his unworthiness, his hammer, like an annoying reminder of his failure, gives him a little bump on the shoulder, causing Thor to give it yet another punch and tell it to go away. Seeing Thor punching his hammer, the Thunderer agrees to train Thor to become the next Iron Fist, implying that he was meant to wield the Iron Fist power and not his actual hammer. Now it turns out that the God of Thunder's training has already begun when he began to punch his Uru hammer, made of the strongest substance in the 9 realms. Turns out that this hammer that has been floating around mocking its owner is the perfect punching bag for Thor Odinson. Who would have thought? Not me. Thor, using his mighty strength, slammed his fists against the mallet over and over and over again, covering him in his own red vino. He spent 30 days and 30 nights punching the unflinching mallet, which feels like it should be some kind of biblical reference, but I think it's just its own thing. I don't know. Eventually, after punching this hammer for so long, his fists became their own hammers, being ripped open and then healing and getting stronger and stronger with every single punch. It wasn't until 30 more days passed that the God of Thunder began to feel his hammer beginning to quiver under his punches. It was feeling the impact of Thor's fists until it couldn't take it anymore, and then the hammer dodged its old wielder. As if the hammer was beginning to feel the pain of Thor's punches, it tried to avoid being hit, only for that very thing to fuel Thor's punches even more, making them twice as hard, and the hammer finally decided to actually fight Thor back out of fear for its own well-being. The hammer got scared of Thor. That's what we're talking about here. With the Thunderer spurring him to show the hammer who's boss, Thor stopped being the god of wind and rain and storms, and with a massive strike against the angry hammer, Thor showed that he's no longer the god of storms and thunder and strength, but he's instead the god who punches the storms. And that is really cool. After finally breaking the spirit of his own hammer, it falls to the ground, humbled and seemingly ready to be finally claimed. But this time, Thor is the one who refuses to pick it up. The Thunderer is pleased by that choice, but then he just attacks Thor, striking Thor with a backhand that sends the God of Thunder flying. He proved himself against his hammer, but the Thunderer himself, the last guardian of Shao-Lao, is the final trial Thor must face before becoming the Iron Fist. This is where all his training so far has been leading. After being taunted by the Thunderer though, all it took was one massive perfect punch to send the blue-skinned immortal flying, bludgeoned miles away to break down the door of Shao-Lao's recovery chamber. But no dragon was actually there. Instead, it was a massive skeleton. The Thunderer had lied. Basically, there was no power of the Iron Fist for Thor to claim. The Masters of Evil had destroyed the dragon and everything was kind of kaput. But the Thunderer now explains that he wasn't actually training Thor to wield another ancient weapon like the Iron Fist or Mjolnir. He was instead training Thor to wield the weapons he was born with. His fists. The tools that speak louder than thunder, is what he says. He was training the god of strength and thunder to become the god of his own unbeatable fists, and that is just hilarious and kind of awesome all at the same time. Having completed his training, this Thor now sets out adorned with Kunlun armor and with the floating Mjolnir as his sidekick to go after the multiversal Masters of Evil, which is when he is met by Robbie Reyes, All Rider, and Tony Stark Ant-Man, who show up in need of a Thor to join their team. Now this story by itself is just so cool, showing the strength that Thor himself wields without needing a hammer to do the heavy lifting. But the series this story is a part of, Avengers Forever, is a true treat for anyone who loves the multiverse and seeing alternate versions of different Avengers. It's truly a lot of fun. Robbie Reyes, the All Rider, is pulling together this awesome Avengers team that faces up against the Doom above all and his Masters of Evil, including Norman Osborn Ghost Goblin, Destiny the Dark Phoenix, the Black Skull, a teenage Thanos, which is kind of weird, Killmonger the Destroyer, this rabid, spiky Wolverine, and an entire horde of Mephisto variants. Thor, God of Fists now, comes back in the series in issue 12 when the Mephistos are attacking the Avengers Tower at the God Quarry and the Heart of Existence in the middle of the universe. Or multiverse. I'm actually not too sure how this works. He shows up to take down an absolutely gigantic Mephisto, punching his hoofed foot so hard that his foot basically vaporizes. He then punches the giant's face so that his top and bottom jaw are no longer attached. But while we're on the topic of Thor, the fun part of the story comes when old King Thor's 3 daughters show up to join the fight against the Mephistos with the Phoenix-powered Wolverine and about 100 different versions of Mjolnir. It's absolutely nuts. They're just flying in from all different directions. It's raining onto the ground. There's explosions everywhere. It's mass hysteria. Cats and dogs living together. But you get what I'm saying. The best part of this story though is when the Doom above all finally arrives on the battlefield. He shows up crashing the Avengers Tower with the living planet Doom, it's floating in the sky and coming down on this tower, and then he begins casting a massive spell while shielding himself in a force field. Now the multiversal Avengers somehow have no magic on their side, which is when the Avenger Prime finally comes waltzing out of a portal, stating that he is the Prime Avenger because you can't have the Avengers without a Loki to bring them together, and it's Loki as the Prime Avenger. Loki, the god of mischief, the bad guy, is the leader of this team of multiversal Avengers, and it's so cool. It leads to this massive battle with the Earth 616 Avengers showing up to help the multiversal Avengers against these armies of Doctor Dooms and Mephistos. It's absolutely off the wall nuts, and God, I loved every second of it. But I think I have run out of time for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Top 10 Nerd. I've been your host today, Adam Andrews. I will catch you all on the flippity flop. Peace out, nerds. Flip, flip.